This beautiful girl's name is Alice. She works at a television station in America. Even though she lives daily at her older sister Debbie's house, Alice is never a hassle. On the contrary, she often helps her sister take care of her two young children. One day, while at work, Alice was called by her supervisor. Her supervisor said that he was satisfied with Alice's performance so far. Seeing her potential and beautiful appearance, he offered her a promotion as a presenter or host on the condition that Alice keep in shape to remain attractive in front of the camera. Hearing this, Alice was very happy and immediately accepted the offer without hesitation. Arriving home, Alice told Debbie and her husband, Pete, the good news.
What are you gonna do? I don't know!
To celebrate that night, Alice and Debbie went out partying at a bar. There, they saw a man named Ben, who was also partying with his friends. Fascinated by Alice's beauty, Ben took the initiative to get acquainted. In the middle of their conversation, Debbie's husband called and informed them that their child was sick.
Hello?
Debbie immediately said goodbye and went home. Because she still wanted to celebrate her promotion as a new presenter, Alice invited Ben to accompany her to the party until late at night. In the morning, after waking up, Alice immediately woke Ben up. She looked at the man who had accompanied her last night and was surprised that Ben was still sleeping at that hour. Alice was confused and asked if Ben wasn't working today. Instead of answering, Ben invited her to go out for breakfast. It was during the meal that Ben began to tell her about his life. He admitted that he was unemployed and spent his days smoking marijuana and hanging out with his friends. Alice immediately felt uncomfortable because she didn't expect the man she was with last night to be a ne'er-do-well with no direction in life. Ben then added that he and his friends were actually starting a business. Alice was amazed when she heard that. But when Ben explained that the business in question was an adult website, Alice became even more disappointed and chose to leave Ben without a word.
Bye!
That afternoon, after work, Alice confided in Debbie. She said that when she slept with Ben yesterday, she forgot whether or not they had used contraception. Although she had been worried, Alice felt that maybe her fears were overblown. Now, all she can do is forget about the incident and get on with her life as usual. Meanwhile, Ben also confided in his friends about Alice's attitude, which seemed unkind after learning that he was unemployed. Ben felt that he no longer had a chance to get back with Alice. Months passed without them seeing each other. One day, while at work, Alice suddenly felt nauseous. At first, she thought it might just be a cold and that she would get better after taking some medicine. But when one of her coworkers said that nausea could be one of the early signs of pregnancy, Alice started to panic. She immediately bought some pregnancy tests, and after trying them one by one, all the results showed that she was positively pregnant.
What the hell is this?
Debbie, who heard the news, immediately advised Alice to contact Ben. After all, Ben was the father of the fetus she was carrying. Since Ben didn't have a cell phone, the only way to contact him was to send an email through the adult site Ben had told her about before. Meanwhile, while Ben was relaxing with his friends, one of them told him that Alice had sent an email. Ben immediately felt happy and confidently thought that Alice must have missed him. After they exchanged emails, Ben and Alice agreed to meet. The next night, they met at a restaurant. There, Alice started the conversation with pleasantries, asking where Ben got the money to meet his daily needs. Ben then told her that because his website had not made any money yet, he had been living off the accident insurance money he had received when he was in high school. After getting to know her a little better, Alice immediately conveyed her main intention. She informed him that she was pregnant and that Ben was the father of the child she was carrying. Ben was shocked to hear this. Instead of calming each other down, they got into a debate and blamed each other. After the atmosphere began to subside, Alice invited Ben to go to the gynecologist to be able to confirm the condition of her pregnancy more clearly. The next day, they both met at the hospital. In the examination room, the doctor, who thought Ben and Alice were husband and wife, congratulated them enthusiastically while showing the shape of the fetus in Alice's stomach on the ultrasound screen. However, instead of being happy, Alice cried.
That'll be fun.
The next day, Alice told her mother about the pregnancy. Unfortunately, instead of giving her support, the mother told Alice to have an abortion because she was worried it would hinder her daughter's career. Alice firmly said that she would keep the fetus until delivery. Unlike Alice's mother, Ben's father was happy to know that he would soon have a grandchild. In the afternoon, after gathering her courage, Alice contacted Ben. Hearing that Ben was willing to take responsibility, Alice was relieved. Not long after, she went to Ben's house and met all of his friends. That night, for the first time, Alice and Ben decided to go on a date and start all over again. During the date, they looked as happy as a newly married couple with their first child. After the date, Ben proposed to Alice. That touched Alice, but she asked for time. She didn't want to rush into a formal relationship. According to her, the most important thing now was to focus on working together to maintain the pregnancy while slowly getting to know each other's personalities. Month after month passed. At 4 months pregnant, Alice's belly began to look bigger. But because she didn't want her career to be disrupted, she kept trying to keep her pregnancy a secret from her boss. Amidst increasing financial pressures and the needs ahead of the baby's birth, Ben began to feel frustrated. Even though they had been living together for a long time, he still felt like a stranger in Alice's eyes. In order to get certainty, Ben proposed to Alice again. This time, he only brought an empty ring box, promising to fill it with a diamond ring when they were established. His sincerity touched Alice, but she still asked for time. She was not completely sure about getting married. Hearing the answer, Ben just nodded slowly and tried to be patient again. The next day, Alice confided in Debbie about last night's incident. She felt guilty for refusing Ben's proposal, even though Ben seemed very sincere. However, Debbie calmed Alice down and said that her decision was the right one. According to her, Alice should not rush into anything before getting to know Ben more deeply. At that moment, Debbie also joined in the story. She admitted that even though she had lived with Pete for decades, she still couldn't fully trust her husband. Debbie even revealed that she often felt suspicious. Maybe all this time, Pete had been secretly having an affair behind her back. One day, Alice invited Ben to accompany Debbie to the house where Pete's affair was suspected to be taking place. With emotions running high, they broke in, but it turned out that only Pete's male friends were hanging out inside. Although Pete was not proven to be cheating, Debbie was still angry because she felt lied to. She was disappointed that Pete was dishonest about hanging out with his friends so often and instead made up excuses about working overtime. For Debbie, the lie hurt more than the truth. The next day, on the way to the doctor, Alice revealed that she agreed with Debbie's words about the importance of honesty in relationships. But Ben had a different opinion. According to him, what Pete did was still reasonable because every man needs time to enjoy his world without feeling constantly watched or bothered by his family. Because of these differences of opinion, Alice and Ben began to argue until the atmosphere heated up in the examination room. Ben, who was starting to lose patience, said that maybe the pregnancy hormones were making Alice more sensitive than usual. Before leaving, Ben said, "The Alice I know is not like this. So I'm not angry with you." After days of reflection, Ben finally decided to give in and meet Alice to apologize sincerely. Alice forgave him, but she made it clear that for the time being, they should be friends without being tied down in a special relationship. Alice felt that during the months they had been living together, Ben had made no real effort to find a job. He was too comfortable with his situation and reluctant to step out of his comfort zone. Therefore, Alice stated that she was able to raise her baby on her own and was ready to become a single parent. Hearing the decision, Ben was silent. On the one hand, he wanted to be a responsible man. On the other hand, he realized that he could not force a relationship if Alice did not want it. After separating, Ben contacted his father for advice. Ben's father said that if he wanted to be responsible for other people's lives, Ben must first be able to take responsibility for his own life. Hearing that remark, Ben felt like he had been slapped in the face. Sometime later, Alice and Ben were living their respective lives. Alice had stopped working because she could no longer hide her growing pregnancy. Meanwhile, thanks to his experience managing websites and his expertise in IT, Ben finally got a fairly well-established job. That month, he also moved to a new neighborhood and rented a new house so that he could leave the bad habits that had been ingrained in his old neighborhood. Until one day, Alice suddenly experienced contractions at home. Because Debbie and the children were on vacation, Alice panicked and immediately contacted Ben and asked him to come. As soon as he knew the baby was coming soon, Ben rushed over. When he arrived home, he called the doctor who usually treated Alice's pregnancy, but because the doctor was out of town, Ben immediately took Alice to the nearest hospital. Seeing Ben's alertness, Alice was happy and began to believe that Ben had really changed. Arriving at the hospital, Alice immediately received treatment. After the examination, the doctor said that the baby's heart rate was weak and a cesarean section had to be performed immediately. However, Alice still insisted on wanting to give birth normally. Not long after, Debbie came and asked Ben to leave the room, but Ben refused. He told Debbie to leave because, as the biological father, he felt he had the right to be with Alice. Seeing Ben's more mature and responsible attitude, Debbie finally gave in. She hoped that Ben had really changed and could be a good father and partner to her sister. After their baby was born, Ben was so happy. From that second on, he was officially a father. A few days later, Alice was allowed to go home. This time, she no longer went home to Debbie's house but to the house of her future husband, Ben. Since Ben changed, Alice finally decided to open her heart and start building a family with the man who loved her so sincerely. And so the story ends.